Good morning, Southern Middle Tennessee. My name is Del Kennedy. I'm dude number 3. It's a fantastic Monday morning, and we've got a lot to talk about, both what's going on here in Southern Middle Tennessee, around the world, and uh, all places in between. Dude number 2, Ron Hart, native son, favorite son of Columbia, 1977 graduate, Columbia Central High School. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Ron. All right, dude number 1, Mr. Jim York. Good morning.
Good morning, Del. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mr. York. And son of Ron Hart, Jeb Hart. Good morning.
Morning, y'all.
All right, and still a dude, but formerly dude number 2, Clayton Harris, who's not in transition. Good morning, Clayton.
Good morning, Dale. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, that introduction got off the rails and it's stuck for you, Clayton. I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm still here. I'm still
Continue to
here.
repeat it, though, which is kind of funny.
All right, folks. So let's see. My dog, my black lab Jack, is still missing, and that he was last seen out on John Finney Road at my house last Tuesday. So if anybody sees a black lab with a red collar, please let us know. Let me know. Uh, it's just it's. I think many of you know it's hard to lose a pet. It's like losing a member of the family almost. So anyway, hopefully Jack will turn up. Here locally, we had unbelievable weather, a fantastic mule day. Brady Carr with Murray County Bridle and Saddle Club was on this morning, along with Murray County Mayor Sheila Butt. They were here earlier to talk about what a great success Mule Day had been. Uh, we broadcast the parade, live streamed it right here from the front porch at Front Porch Radio, and Clayton, if you still want to watch that, it's out there on YouTube and Facebook.
Yes, you can go to our Facebook page, WKOM Radio or WKRM Radio. It's on both of those. It's also, if it's not, it will be on YouTube under Kennedy Broadcasting. So, yes, I mentioned to Brady and the mayor earlier. Just on Saturday alone, we had almost 11,000 views of the parade.
Wow, that's incredible, and we appreciate you tuning in, folks. It's a great thing, and it gives, every time somebody tunes in, it expands the reach of the parade, and it's a boost to this community. Uh, it draws crowds and thousands of people doing what they do, doing business and visiting, and it's all good for Columbia. So yeah, and then uh, elsewhere, the Tennessee State Legislature passed the uh, what's it called, the River Protection Bill, I think,
Yes.
which provides additional protections to our our primary source of drinking water, the Duck River. Uh, it does effectively prevent dumps within close proximity to the river. It also protects the Buffalo, the Piney, and some other incredible streams and rivers we have in here in southern Middle Tennessee. So that's a big deal and a good thing, and represents, I think, some very forward thinking by our legislature to protect our water source and also to protect our way of life and what makes this area so attractive. Over the weekend at Mule Day, I was introduced to a fellow. I guess he was, I don't know, 50ish, 60ish, and I said, "Well, tell me about you." He said, "Well, my wife and I think they retired in Chicago or something." And he said we started a nationwide search as to where we wanted to retire. And he said we looked all over the country, literally, and we finally narrowed it down to Columbia, Tennessee. And you know, these folks come here, they spend money, they go to church, they, you know, participate in our various activities here in the community. These are great people to have, neighbors, citizens, and but without things like the Duck River that uh, enhance our quality of life, contribute to the scenic beauty of the area, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be picking Columbia over any other place they could move in the nation. So it's all a good thing. And then, okay, of course, on an international and international level, the Iran war, the liberal media and the Democrats say we lost. The Republicans and Trump say we won. Um, the war is definitely entering a new phase. and we can talk about that as well. So
Talks broke down, Del.
I know,
The negotiations broke down.
Miss York, but I don't see
Excited
that.
about that, aren't you?
Well, I'd like to see them settle the darn thing. I mean, it's just putting hardships on people across the globe, including this
Iran.
country.
Yeah.
$4 and something a gallon.
Yeah. You think if Iran maybe opened up the Straits of Hormuz, that would be better?
Yeah, but what are they going to get out of it? They got to look at their interests too. So
They gonna get
it's negotiation. It's not just what we want; it's what both of them
Well,
want.
they're going to get a heck of a
Nah,
lot of money.
they're in a
'cause
strong
they
position
sell
right
oil
now.
through the straits. Yeah.
And what do they want? If you can recall, both their position and as it was relayed both by them and by the J.D. Vance, Witkoff, Kushner, as they left Pakistan after 21 hours of negotiations. What was it that Iran refused to move on? If you could maybe enlighten me.
Well, I think a lot of things that one was the Strait of Hormuz, controlling that, and they wanted reparations for the damage. They wanted Israel to stop their aggression on Lebanon.
Miss York, what Jeb is trying to get you to say, and what Trump said is the number one thing that he's trying. 99% of what he hopes to achieve what he wants to achieve with the Iran war, and you're just dancing around it. He wants to eliminate nuclear weapons in the possession of.
They won't move on that. They won't move on.
No, they're not going to move on that. I mean, hell, would you give up your guns and stuff at your home?
Well, that's what the war's all about.
For fire?
Well, if I had a bazooka at my house and it's against the law and I don't have it permitted and I was told no, yeah, I have to give it up.
Well, that's
But-
against the law. A nation has its own weaponry. They are their own laws.
The amount of times you have cited international law or whatever you believe that to be throughout the proceedings of this, now it's not illegal because every nation can do what they want. That's a
Yeah,
little.
every nation can do what they want.
Then what's international law? Then why can't we do?
We do what we want in this country, don't we? We take Maduro. We started Iraq and Iran. We did all kind of stuff. And when nobody tells us we can't do it.
Well,
And that's the stage Trump's in right now. Nobody can tell him nothing.
Well, nobody's ever been able to tell us anything ever since the bomb existed. So, I mean, we want to talk about the post-World War II era and reconstruction of the world and divvying it up in the new power dynamics when we were the only ones who had the ultimate weapon. And, I'm going to go into much more detail about this later on today because it does tie into a lot of this and then us blockading the Strait. But ideally, for anybody who has ever sat there and said, Iran does not want a nuclear bomb. They just don't want the U.S. to tell them what to do. They just want to make, nuclear power. They want to do that. Fine. If you believe that, then this whole thing throws that out because we were offering for free to give them as much power grade enriched uranium as possible, provided they did not have any enrichment beyond that. And the sites are there. They won't do it because clearly the goal is to build a bomb. Now,
No, we
if that's
can't dictate the countries, Jeb. This is the whole thing. We're trying
what?
to dictate. We're trying to dictate a sovereign country what they're gonna develop, what the research they're gonna do, and all that.
Obama bombed 7 countries, Mr. York. 7.
Yeah, Obama
countries.
bombed 7 countries, but that was different situations.
Yeah, that's so much.
Explain
what was
that's
different.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Libya.
Okay,
Miss
okay,
York,
so
tell
telling
me
other
with a
countries-
straight face.
How was it
that
different?
Iran
Explain one more
would
time
not use
how
the-
that was different because he was
I
Obama.
don't know what Iran will use, Del. We didn't know what Kim Jong-un was going to do. Everybody didn't want him to have a nuclear weapon. They didn't want Pakistan to have a nuclear weapon.
Kim
And,
Jong-un
and they
has
haven't
clearly
done anything threatening this country. Now, because one or two people say death to America, everybody gets
One
their
or two
butt up
people?
on their shoulder,
Kim Jong-un has
1 or
clearly
2
demonstrated
people,
that
Mr.
he's
York?
not going to
1 or
kill
2 people.
himself. These Iranians will. They don't care how many. They don't
Well,
care.
they haven't yet.
They
They
don't-
haven't
yes,
yet.
they
And
have, Miss York.
we've instigated a war that we're stuck in right
They,
now.
they have
Instigated a war?
repeatedly exposed
You're thinking as you
themselves
wait
and their
till
own
they
people
use a
to
nuclear
death, and they
bomb
don't
on somebody,
care.
then you do something, right, Mr. York? That you're thinking, let them use the nuclear bomb, then they've done something, then we'll do something.
They
about
would be a fool, and they know it too, to drop a nuclear bomb on anybody. Just like we know we are fools if we drop
Why are
another
they-
nuclear
then why are they
bomb on
developing
anybody.
Mr. York,
Then why
they
are they
do not
developing
care
one?
about their own lives. That's the difference.
Well, we don't care about our own lives if we
Yeah.
constantly getting involved in conflict and
Well,
bombing.
it. 8 wars under Obama, you like those, though. Those were good ones.
the logical jumps and then the gaps you choose to leave for Iran or anybody else that you choose to apply to the United States is baffling. But mainly, yeah, we've had the bomb before anybody else did, chose not to use it. We have the moral conscience to, as we had the bomb,
Use
to
it in
not overly
Japan.
swing our weight during those negotiations post World War II and that 1945 kind of resettlement of how we do things with NATO. Ideally, Truman tried to do the League of Nations, and that was a whole different story for a different time. But this idea that let them have it, let everybody have it. Do you want people doing biological research all willy nilly all over the world? Yeah, that's their nation. If their laws say it's okay, but if the effect of what they do, if not properly maintained, properly governed, properly done, has massive effects on the entire world, the world's interest as a whole comes together to say, no, you can't do that. We've done that for so many things in this world, research in many kinds, biological, virus research. I mean, we had a global pandemic because of very, very poorly run just checks and balances and systems. So this idea that it's their own country, they can do whatever they want, just let them do it, is an absurd logical jump from.
Yeah, I think most the European countries and most countries other than Russia and China would not like to see Iran with a nuclear weapon. And I think they've voiced that several times.
Yeah.
But how you go about negotiating with a country, trying to stop them from doing that, I think Obama had the right approach. And Trump did not like it solely because Obama made that treaty with Iran
Obama didn't
and
just
tore
give
it
him
up.
suitcases of money. He gave him plane loads
That
of
was
money.
their own money, Delk. It was their own money that was
Okay,
part
all
of
right.
negotiations.
And it
Back
didn't
up.
do any
He-
good at
so-
all.
They had
so
the
Obama-
IEA daily looked at what they were doing. The IEA was daily looking at what they were doing.
No, they weren't.
And
Why did they
Iran
have
was
60%?
under control. But
All
you
right.
just don't
Can
go
you stop
start
talking for one
burping
second?
somebody.
Can you stop for 1 second? Why did they have 60% enriched uranium if that deal was working?
Because Trump tore it up when he got in office the first time. They were under no
They had it
obligation
before
not
that.
to. No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
IEA was checking them daily. They did
Dude,
not.
do you know
Daily.
the IEA?
Once
do you know how
Trump
the
tore
IEA
up the
checking-
agreement, they were free to do whatever they wanted to do.
You're going to need to take a pause here. It's very important. The IEA was allowed to check things provided that they gave Iran a heads up, and Iran also had the ability to tell them where they could and couldn't go. So yes, you could check my child's room who is an infant for drugs every single day, but if I had like a drug warehouse in the back and I was like, you can only check there every single day you went there, yeah, you're not going to find anything. Everything's going on out there. Like, it was a terrible deal. He allowed them to develop the ballistic missile stuff. All of it was out of it. And the only reason it was done was to save the face and say the name Iran nuclear deal. And then people like you and many other people don't read into actually what it is and recognize how detrimental it is. And it is just a band-aid on
Also,
a
too,
All
they
right,
were
all right,
funding.
folks,
They
we're
were,
about
they
to
were
take a
funding
break.
Houthis and
The world was in a more peaceful state, Jeb.
All right,
I don't
all
care
right.
It was
what,
in a
what IEA
peaceful-
was allowed to do. It was in a
All
more
right,
peaceful
well,
state at that
It was in a
time.
more peaceful illusion.
All right, who
Yeah,
shot John is
Sharon
not
Tate was in a
productive,
very,
folks.
Sharon Tate was a very peaceful state right before the Manson family showed up.
Yeah,
Tell
right,
Trump stop depicting himself as Jesus Christ healing Epstein.
All right. We're about okay. We're about to take a break. Now, I love Trump's negotiating style, folks. If the supreme leader of Iran won't make a deal he likes, he kills that guy and negotiates with the next supreme leader.
Yeah.
Great negotiating style. You gotta love it. Watch Justified. You'll understand it. We'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. 3 News with a View. My name's Tel Kennedy. I'm dude number 3. Happy Monday morning. Again, Mule Day was a great success, great weather. Locally, Duck River Protection Scenic Bill, well, it's more than Duck River, but so it protects the duck, the buffalo, the piney. Incredible rivers, creeks that are right here in Middle Tennessee, and they're our drinking water, folks. So that's big time important. So that's passed Tennessee State Legislature, and then of course nationally we're talking about the Iran war and the two different realities that are being passed around from the liberals in the media and the conservatives in this country, which is just incredible. I watched CNN some over the weekend, and I mean, you know, the people who watch CNN, bless their hearts. I mean, it's just detached totally from reality. It's Trump derangement syndrome. It's Martians have invaded their body and taken over their brain. I mean, I don't know. Bless their hearts. All right, dude number 2, Ron Hart, native son, favorite son of Columbia. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, dude number 1, Mr. Jim York. Good morning.
Good morning, Delk. Delk, it's amazing how people can be so blind. All of Europe can see what's happening, and then Melania jumps up and says, I wasn't involved with Epstein. That gal knows she was involved. She was one of Epstein's gals.
That's a lie, Mr. York. You should quit telling lies.
We've been over this enough times.
How many pictures, how many photos, and they all aren't photoshopped. They are original portraits of her, all in the arms of Epstein and all kind of stuff.
Not true.
But why did she give that press conference? I thought that was laid by.
Not true. There was one picture in like '90s or something in New York at a party where they were all together at one place. You lied to say Epstein brought Melania to Trump. That's a complete lie. You said it on the show.
You're just not looking at the photos. Look at the photos.
You said on the show multiple times.
Yeah, they're in a photo together. Like I've told you, I have someone who lived up here. I have pictures with him. He is in jail for the rest of his life for some of the most atrocious crimes I've ever seen. There are pictures with me at him at fundraising events because someone was like, "Hey, just get together, like y'all pop in." Camera.
Need
boom.
to pick better company, Jim.
Yeah,
There was like 400, there's 400 people at this thing.
Yeah, and as I used to say in the boys' bathroom at McDowell, Miss York, you wish, and you've wished it so much, you've wished it into a false reality. And when I say you, I'm talking about you and the liberal media and the Democrats. And
you think you keep saying it and people are going to believe it, but it just really isn't sticking.
Well, look, people got their own mind. They're not listening to you all because everything that's
well, they may be
right,
listening to
y'all
facts.
say
I
is
mean, you don't tell facts. Look at the list, Epstein list. Let's be very clear-eyed. 90% liberal Democrats from the Northeast, liberal elites to the Northeast. That's where the people that were at Epstein now. 90%. I can't think of a Republican other than Lutnick who went on vacation for an afternoon.
Yeah, he's testifying this week, huh?
He was
Or
a
whenever they
Democrat,
get back.
and he was a Democrat then. So it's
Well, he's not a Democrat now.
Let's be clear.
He's
to the
not a
listening
Democrat
audience.
now.
Be quiet for 1 second. Let's be clearly listening. 90 to 95% were liberal Democrats that were at Epstein Island.
okay, Miss York, it's
Full
your
stop.
turn. Go. Yeah. All right, go.
They're not all liberal. There's a whole
Democrats
if they would release those people that were involved, we would know, but they won't release them.
You keep saying that. They released the people that were down there. The media
They released the victims. They released the victims' names.
Heavily Jewish. Happened to be down because the Israel Mossad was involved. They're Woody Allen. They're Summers of Harvard. You go down the list. Gates.
Well, Melania was involved in the list too, and her name is in the court records. She said it wasn't, but it is. She told a lie.
Well, one
What are you talking
thing
about?
one thing that's true though, I mean, the billionaires and multi we're talking 100 millionaires, 200, 500 millionaires in New York is a very small circle, and they all go to the same parties. They belong to
Right.
the same clubs. Their kids go to the same schools, and they're all often
Right.
photographed with each other, and they all know each other. And it's just a very, it's a very small community in a city of literally millions and millions of people.
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell's invited to the Clinton wedding, the Chelsea Clinton's wedding, a very small wedding. She's right.
She was on the
there.
aisle. Really, really good. I mean, she had a
Also
scout.
good
She had a
seats,
scout
yeah.
tickets. They're great tickets. I mean, right? Good.
She was invited by somebody else, according to Hillary.
Right.
Right. Well, let's get back to more fun things like the Iran war, and it's definitely entering a new phase. And we've accomplished everything that
Nothing.
we
Nothing.
That's just impossible to say. Nothing. They don't have a navy. They had a navy 38 days ago. They don't have a navy.
They don't have a navy. They don't have an air force. They don't have.
What do
any,
you mean nothing?
They don't have any missile
Ballistic
manufacturing
missiles are
plants.
gone.
They don't have any missiles.
And Arab states are coalescing around our efforts over there. You look at Pakistan now and Saudi Arabia. We're, you know,
MSB came out yesterday and the day before. Once the talks kind of broke down, it was like, finish this. I'll take care of whatever financial stuff we need to do. I'll get everybody together. This is MSB, the Saudi Crown Prince, the biggest swinging gentleman business in the area, was like, finish it. So we both have destroyed the Navy, hit 10,000 military targets,
Very few
alienated
people are
them from
inclined
the
to be supreme leader these days. If they don't cooperate with us, their life expectancy is about 6 hours. So, that's whatever. We've accomplished our goals.
And then we went over there and tried to campaign for Viktor Orban, and he got beat to death in the election in Hungary.
You changed the subject, Miss York. We're not going to talk about Viktor Orban. Now,
Well, I know you don't want to talk about Trump over there licking boots with Viktor Orban and Vance, and he got his butt kicked over there.
we will talk about Viktor Orban in due course. Right now, we're talking about Iran.
Iran, y'all have, we don't know what's going on with Iran. Trump's going to try to pressure them to open up the Straits of Hormuz and put military ships and military people's alive in jeopardy. And that's not cool.
Well, you know what? You say we don't know what's going on in Iran. It's 24/7 press coverage. So if you just turn your TV, maybe you'll know what's going on in Iran.
Well, and what Trump has done in regards to Strait of Hormuz is he's declared a naval blockade of the Straits of Hormuz, and he's also had the U.S. Navy sail through the Straits of Hormuz.
No, they hadn't sailed through.
Yes,
That's what they said they want to do.
No, they did it, Miss Jordan.
That Strait of Hormuz is still blockaded.
No, they sailed through it.
Sweet.
I'll look it up, Jeb.
You would be a fool to be on a Navy ship up there with no protection, none.
If you're ordered
Okay, there's
to,
a
you would.
multitude of issues with so much of
Jeb,
what's happening
Jeb,
right now.
Did they sail through the Strait of Hormuz?
Multiple times already without being a giant production, the minesweeping stuff. Right, the biggest problem right now with the Strait is not
Right.
the ability of Iran to stop anything with a random rocket. It's that they lost where a lot of their mines are.
they
That's
don't know.
a bit of an issue. But
Lost
the
their
thing
mind.
is, right now,
But
we
the
are
American
blockaded.
Navy has gone through in the last few days, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I want to see them aboard a Chinese ship that comes out with some oil and see what's going to happen with that.
Well,
That's exactly right.
So
So
shot a
what-
cat,
So what we're doing right now is taking the one card that Iran has left to play, which is they say that they are controlling the Strait of Hormuz, letting out a few ships of their liking to places so that they can maintain a cash flow. And they're shutting it down for everybody else except for a few people that make them happy. So we shut it down completely. And what we asked the European and Asian partners who actually utilize the oil that comes out of the Strait, not us, once everything was kind of settled down, we're like, all right, now, if y'all want it, take care of it. Do it. Take care of your own best interest. Do it. They said, we're not doing that. And now we're like, all right, if y'all aren't going to do it and not going to advocate for your own interest, you have to play by our rules. Now we're shutting it down completely. And that's the only card they had left to play. And they
Jeff,
don't
you
have
are
it.
so fickle. That's fickle.
That's not fickle. It's factual. It's factual. And there's also the details.
We
of
gonna
all this.
play. We gonna make another country play by our rules, and we have no jurisdiction, huh?
Yes. You don't recognize the dynamics of power.
Do we have
how they
jurisdiction
actually
over
function.
Hitler? Do we have jurisdiction
Power
over Japan?
alone does
When you went
not
to
solve
Vietnam,
the
did we have
world
jurisdiction
problems.
over Vietnam when you went to Vietnam? Is
Those
that
are-
your deciding factor to go?
We're involved in a different project in Vietnam. It was
What was
different.
that? How was that
It
different?
was to try to spread democracy and allow those South Vietnamese have
Kind
democracy,
of what we're
which
doing in
which
Iran.
backfired.
Democracy.
No, we're not doing anything but blowing stuff up in Iran.
Well, that gives us
What'd you do in
jurisdiction.
Vietnam? What-
You blow
what
it
was
up, you
Rolling
have
Thunder?
jurisdiction over it.
Well, they used M16s and it wasn't. I mean, it was a little napalm heavier at the
Little
time.
napalm.
If
Amish,
you
a little
succeed-
Rolling
if you're not
Thunder.
successful in blowing up, you don't get jurisdiction. But if you successfully blow it up, you got jurisdiction.
No, to
So
say
we
the phrase-
blew up Iraq. What did we get out of that?
Jurisdiction.
Rumble? We shouldn't have gone there.
Well, right now,
Rubble. That's what we got. A lot of
all
rubble.
right, so we were there. We were there
Well,
for
we had
20 years,
jurisdiction.
and the pilot that one of the two pilots ended up going down in Iraq, and we had a good enough relationship with them. For them to let us fly over Iraq, and then once the pilot was down, they helped us get him, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't hostile territory. So yeah, we got something out of it.
All right.
Like,
I still don't believe those two pilots. You know, I think they might been.
dude, I don't know if I've
I
ever
think they
heard
might be
something.
deceased
Dude,
because we haven't seen any recovery of pilots, any action about pilots, any pictures about pilots like they normally do
I want you- I want
in
you-
a normal administration. This
You
is an
would not-
abnormal administration.
It'd be like
I don't know
ICE.
if there's any. I don't know if there's anything in this world that is more indicative of the way that you view political discourse than that statement. That's how much you want to believe that to be true.
That's true.
That a lack of evidence
Melania.
that you see
That's a
is
lie,
somehow-
Jeb.
No,
I don't want it to be true, but because of all the lies of this present administration, you can't believe a damn
the
thing.
logic-
Yeah,
And if you believe the stuff they put out, you are a little loony.
We're back to
The
the boys'
logic
bathroom at
behind that.
McDowell. You wish, you know. I mean,
The logic behind it is so shaky, but it's so transparent that and you get to say, "Hey, I'm not saying I don't want it to. I'm just saying." It's so
I mean, the
profoundly
left wing, if you put the
disingenuous.
picture of these pilots up there, Mr. York, like ICE agents, your left wing fringe will probably go after their families. They'll go after his.
Man, ain't nobody going about no military families. You
shot Charlie
You don't
Kirk.
understand.
The left
you
wing
didn't
shot
shoot
Charlie
Charlie Kirk. Shot Charlie Kirk.
Now we're kinda all over the place
People
here.
start talking against him about the Epstein files. That's
We're
what killed
all-
Charlie Kirk.
God, you're such a liar.
Golly.
all over the place here.
This is fun. All right. Now, let's seriously, though, for a minute. There are two unresolved issues that we hope, Trump hoped, the United States hoped, would be resolved through negotiation that have not been resolved through negotiation. One is the opening of the Strait of Hormuz without force, and the other is the obtaining the Iran's enriched uranium and their equipment to make nuclear weapons and whatnot without force. And it looks like we're going to have to do both the hard way now. And we're going to have to put the U.S. Navy in the Strait of Hormuz to force it open. And it's 21 miles wide, and it's very difficult, although, you know, we've got the best Navy in the world, and we got whiz-bang stuff that can just shoot missiles out of the sky right and left. You know, at a range of 12 miles, that gets very difficult. And so for the first time, thus far, we've put American lives at a very low risk in the way we've conducted the war. When we start putting the Navy in the Strait of Hormuz, you know, the risk to American lives, American military folks, increases dramatically. And so we're going to have to do that. And so we're in a new phase of the war.
Belk, we should be still negotiating.
And likewise, Mr. And who says we're not? But likewise,
I mean, they did a
likewise-
21 hours and then walked away and say that's it.
Now, Ms.
When
York,
you're talking about the things of the magnitude in which they need to
Ms.
be
York,
negotiating,
you know we're
that,
still-
ta-
you know
that
we're-
takes
you know-
4 years or 5 years to
Ms.
do.
York, you know we're still negotiating. You wish that we weren't. Okay, and so then the other unresolved issue that we hope to resolve by negotiation, and it looks like we're not going to be able to, is the relinquishment of the enriched uranium and the nuclear bomb making equipment, etc. We're going to have to do that by force, and that means troops on the ground, and that also is a new phase where American lives are going to be put at danger.
Don't worry about troops on the ground, Del. Come December, there's automatic registration for 18-year-olds. So, folks, get your kids ready.
Well, that's could be part of it for sure. I mean, this is a new phase, and
Get ready for the draft.
well,
Rich,
Miss York,
poor, and all in between. Get ready.
Miss York, again, if the Pilgrims had shot a cat, you're just speculating. You know,
That was in the big, beautiful bill. There's no speculation come December
Whether-
26.
whether or not they'll be,
They're going to automatically register 18-year-olds into the military.
you know,
So
whether,
the exact opposite of voter suppression, because normally you would only be able to be automatically registered for
Yeah,
the draft as a male.
And
Well,
by
you
law,
registered
you
vote.
had to.
yeah, whether or not
Yeah.
they're going to actually be called up, Mr. York, is about as likely as space aliens on the square in Columbia. All right, let's take a break and come back. All right, we're back. 3 News with a View. Last segment of the day. We'll be here all week. We'll be excited about it. My name's Del Kennedy. I'm dude number 3. Dude number 2, Ron Hart, native son, favorite son of Columbia. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, dude number 1, Mr. Jim York. Good morning.
Good morning, Del. Del, you got a perfect resource about the Hormuz Strait.
Okay.
Wasn't your son Sam in the Navy? Wasn't he on a ship?
Yeah, he was, Mr. York. Now it's been a 10 years.
I'd ask you to consult him as a resource. How comfortable he would be taking a ship up the Strait of Hormuz under the present conditions,
Um,
and let us know what he says.
well, I mean, I'll be happy to do that. I mean, I can tell you though. I mean, it doesn't take an expert to tell you it's dangerous, and I mean that's what I was saying. I mean, American lives could well be lost doing it, and but that's what war is about, Miss York.
But that's why I say we need to negotiate longer and
Yeah.
more intense.
Another 47
exactly
years would be a
what-
good idea, maybe. Another
Yeah,
47
are
years,
you-
maybe.
Are you the? I mean, are
And,
you
folks, hang
giving
on
talking
now.
points for the Iranians?
And Jeb Hart, son of Ron Hart. Good morning, Jeb.
Good morning. Yeah, no.
All right, go ahead.
Negotiating for longer has historic for 49 years, 47 years. The negotiations have been ongoing, and it's just been an absolute banger. We've been
terrific.
it's been great. We should maybe make it maybe century.
I mean,
millennia.
y'all were calling Trump a warmonger 2 weeks ago, and then when he had a ceasefire, you call him a chicken. So you're not an honest broker.
No, it's because of what he
gas was this
said.
high under Biden, you said it was fine, and now you say it's high. Now you say the gas is
Yeah,
going up.
gas is high.
And the gas
Sounds
is
like
not
Biden, though,
going
was it?
down.
$5
It's
a gallon?
going up. Y'all are now all experts on gas prices.
Not-
you know, I mean, come on.
Now gas is up under Trump.
Well, it is.
I haven't heard about eggs in a bit.
Inflation is 3.3, Ron. You know that, don't you? I know you keep up with the financials.
Well,
Not
Mr. York,
9% like it was under
3.3
Biden.
Is
But it's 3.3%, and Trump was supposed to lower everything.
9% under Biden, Mr. York. 9%. Wow.
During COVID.
No, it was well after
3.3%
COVID. But
No, it wasn't
9%.
well
That's
after
low.
COVID. It was
That's a
during
lot.
COVID.
3.3% historically is minimal.
Not bad.
All right, we go ahead, minimal. Those people that
Well,
got
with
money
gas
call it
prices
minimal.
popping up. It's heavily weighted toward gas, so that's a big factor in
Yeah, everything.
oil and
Everything's affected by gas, you know?
Yeah,
You
and then-
said-
so. It's a lot better when you open up drilling permits and
Yeah,
drill baby
9%
drill
is
than
a lot
you
of
do when you're
inflation.
trying to make everybody drive
3.3.
electric
But
cars.
that doesn't bring the type of oil we need, Ron, and you know that too. We produce a light crude, and we need sweet and sour for the refinery. So
Yeah.
that's why we import
Now
oil.
every liberal is an expert on
Well,
oil.
so you know,
types.
We
You're a
import
chemical engineer now.
the aggressive crude from a little bit from Canada, but because they can't refine it themselves because they don't have refineries. Additionally, they can't even build them because of their government's
That's
inability
right
to help
behind
Alberta
your-
do their own
Yeah,
stuff.
but they have sweet and sour, and that's what
Right,
we
I-
refine.
but-
Yeah, that's
I'm
right
trying to explain
behind your
to you,
PhD in tariffs. So come on, people.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, Mr. York, I'm trying to explain to you exactly. I'm familiar with what it is. But my point that you brought up earlier that I've been sitting on for a little bit. It's been the world was a more stable place when the Iranian deal was in effect, and then this came in and it destabilized it. As somebody who went through something as terrible and harrowing as dealing with cancer and overcoming it, something so serious, not knowing that you have it doesn't change the fact that it's there and it's underlying. It is building. It is like your Tuesday morning when you didn't know was fine. And then once you know there's chemo, it's terrible, or radiation, or whatever it may be, whatever version of it, surgeries, however it manifests, that's way harder, but it fixes a problem that was going to exist regardless. And if you allowed it to just pretend like things were normal, by the time you finally decided to address it, it's too late. And that's what we're doing. Yes, it is more difficult now because we were living under an illusion that things were always going to be okay if we just didn't do anything.
Well, and what's
Every
hap-
country around says there was no national or international
No,
emergency.
the word you're looking for is
cause bombing.
imminent. No, the word you're looking for
It wasn't
is
an imminent threat.
The word
It was
you're
not.
looking
They were
for-
not an imminent
Oh,
threat
Mr.
by
York.
all
Neither
stretch
was,
of the
you know what?
imagination.
Neither was
Expert on
Germany to
imminent
the United
threats.
States, Mr. York, in 1942.
now
There
you're
wasn't
an
an imminent
expert
threat
on
to the United
bomb-
States.
nuclear bomb making.
How many Jews would have been saved? How many people would have been saved had they stopped Hitler in Poland?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Right,
that-
a lot.
And Ron, you're back to the Pilgrim conundrum. But
Yeah.
anyway, I mean, Miss York, where you and I agree is that putting the U.S. Navy in the Strait of Hormuz definitely escalates the danger to U.S. military, particularly U.S. Navy personnel. It escalates the danger to U.S. military to a whole other level than has hitherto existed in the campaign against Iran. And that's a dangerous spot, and because it's only 1 miles wide, despite the best Navy, the best sailors in the world, it's going to be difficult to defend those naval ships going through. But negotiations haven't failed. Now, I deny that negotiations are going to end. Negotiations will keep up, but they're going to be going on while the Navy is in the Strait of Hormuz. And, so we're going to have to do it the hard way, it appears, and it's going to be dangerous. And
the strait is a Trojan horse, Del. It's a Trojan horse.
Well, it's going to be dangerous for the U.S. Navy. And, Trump's right, though. Europe should be putting their ships in there and helping us out because we get almost zero oil.
Why is Europe not involved? What are they telling Trump?
They got a heavily Muslim population in England and France and Spain. They're afraid of voter backlash from Muslims they let in. They shouldn't have over the years. They regret, by the way.
But they get
those are all tons of reasons. The main one being the only actual ship that would be of any help to even help the British themselves go fix Cyprus, the Dragon. It's still freaking there at Portsmouth. They don't have the ability to help themselves because we have carried the burden of the weight for them forever.
Jeb, I agree with your dad. It's because they've got all European
countries. Those are ancillary effects. I agree as well.
They've got significant Muslim populations now, and they're just.
That's what builds up to
they're
this.
not going to be our allies anymore because Muslims aren't our allies, period.
No, but that's what built up to the lack of infrastructure. I mean, because if you have that many undocumented immigrants that you cannot deal with, you have to divert funds to elsewhere. And also the structure, the fact that we never held them accountable for not spending the proper amount of GDP on their defense for years and years and years, helped them when they needed us, Bosnia, the Falkland Islands, you can go on. And yes, you'll say Article 3 and they was Iran, but that's not the entirety of what NATO is. There are many different. We're the ones who have actually showed up and given the most actual help to NATO allies. Article 3.
Jeb, we've got to get rid of that arrogance in this country. We are not the ones to tell countries what to do, when to do, and how to do it.
Hold it.
We're not.
We're straying from the subject. The subject here is American Navy and the Strait of Hormuz. A part of that issue is why in Europe in there with us because they use most of the oil and we don't that's coming through the Hormuz. But that having been said, we are now, I agree with Ms. York, we are putting American sailors in danger to a level that they have not been so far in this war. And
that's why I say we need to negotiate longer, Del, to try to resolve this thing.
They're just trying to get their legs underneath
while we put ships in the strait, Miss York. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we're restocking right now. Our pilots are resting. We're getting more supplies. We're going to light them up again if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Got them on the road.
Okay. Bombing never settled anything. We bombed Hanoi out in oblivion, and we still lost the Vietnam conflict.
Bombing Berlin didn't help.
Didn't help either.
What's
Hiroshima, Nagasaki? That worked out okay
what's
for us?
What's over-under on the lifespan of the next supreme leader of Iran?
Well, I don't know.
Well, they got plenty of leaders. The way they're organized in stacks. So you can destroy one top leader, but they got several other leaders.
They've got to get to someone. The problem is they're all the same ilk, right? And they've got to keep going to keep the grip going.
Hasn't been killed. Do you know who hasn't been killed?
Give you a deluxe robe, all the women you want.
Do you know who the most under-discussed portion of all of this? Like everybody's seen the charts of the leadership that's been killed, both in the IRGC, the nuclear science.
Ayatollah.
No, the Ayatollahs, all of this. Do you know who hasn't been touched? Because be like you're talking about, Mr. York, they are siloed in different areas. No, their traditional army, the most conservative, rational of the Persians who are still there, who are not overly, super ridiculous into the full IRGC, Ayatollah is the word of God thing. Not a single member of their leadership has been touched. And that is very purposeful because that is the stability. They're still stable as the standard army, and the IRGC is profoundly fractured and gone into their fracture protocol.
That's how good we are. But not only can we kill them at will, we can kill just the ones we want and leave the ones we want alive.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty
surgical.
good. Yeah.
Hey,
Not a single one.
I gotta ask a very important question though before we end the show, because we got about a minute and a half left. Ron, have you did you open the Chattanooga branch of the Church of Scientology yesterday?
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah. So this just by this background, I made just a passing joke about the airman that got rescued from Iran. I said, that Tom Cruise wants the movie rights, and Tom Cruise, by the way, does all his stunts because that's the only way out of Scientology. So I get this onslaught of threats and letters. We're going to do damage to you. We're going to, in online stuff. Probably at this current moment, maybe 75 emails or so.
And Ron, I'm going to draw the fire away from you here. Those are some damn weird people.
Yeah, I mean,
no doubt.
It's going to start here at Kennedy Broadcasting. And
who knew the Church of Scientology was so vicious?
yeah, and what they don't know is we don't give a damn. We're just a tar baby. We'll
I'm
have
gonna
more
go
fun with
commiserate
them
with
suckers
Leah
than you can
Remini.
possibly imagine. If you're with
Yeah.
Scientology, come on.
Trump need to leave that Pope alone.
want you on
Trump
the
needs to
radio
leave
here.
the Pope
Needs to
alone.
leave politics alone.
The Pope is going to be there long after him.
I've got some
we'll
folks
see.
here locally I want to introduce you to.
Yeah.
And then show himself as Jesus Christ healing somebody. He's out of his.
Yeah,
He needs to be put in the old folks' home
I think,
somewhere.
I think the
All
Pope
right.
and his 3 guys on 60 Minutes need to worry
Tomorrow.
about pedophilia in their churches.
Trump need to be put in the old folks' home.